The thing about being called too nice is that people forget nice guys know exactly where all the sharp edges are. We just choose not to use them. Until we do. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm standing in the Grand Riverside Hall, which used to be a cotton processing plant before someone with too much money decided old brick walls photograph well. The place still smells faintly of machine oil underneath the expensive flowers Alyssa insisted on. 200 people packed into this refurbished monument to industrial decay, and every single one of them is about to watch my life implode. Alyssa's wearing red. She always wears red when she wants attention, and tonight she wants all of it. Her influencer friends cluster around her like pilot fish around a shark, phones out, recording everything. This is her milestone party, 50,000 followers or some arbitrary number that means absolutely nothing in the real world, but everything in hers. I'm drinking cheap beer from a bottle because the champagne tastes like regret, and I'm watching my girlfriend, my fiancée, hold court. She's animated, laughing too loud, touching everyone's arms. That's new, the touching. Daniel! She spots me lurking near the industrial windows. Come here, baby. I know that tone. That's her performance voice, the one she uses when she's about to make me part of her content. I walk over anyway, because I'm still operating under the assumption that we're getting married in 6 weeks, and this is just pre-wedding jitters manifesting as mild narcissism. Stupid me. Everyone, Alyssa announces, grabbing my arm with fingernails painted the same red as her dress. This is Daniel, my amazing, sweet, incredibly patient fiancé. Her friends make appropriate noises. I recognize most of them. There's Brianna, her best friend since college, wearing a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, and Brianna's boyfriend, Tyler, tall, gym rat pretty, the kind of guy who refers to his car as she and means it romantically. We were just talking about the wedding, Alyssa continues, and I feel the temperature in my chest drop about 10 degrees because I know where this is heading. And I was telling everyone how you're just so nice. That's generally considered a positive trait, I say. She laughs, but it's not the laugh I fell in love with 3 years ago. This one has edges. Of course it is, but sometimes. She pauses for effect, and I can see her mentally composing the caption for the Instagram post this is about to become. Sometimes a girl needs more than nice. Sometimes she needs excitement, danger, a bad boy. The room isn't actually getting quieter, but it feels like it. Her friend Stephanie is definitely recording this. You're too nice, Daniel, Alyssa says, projecting now, playing to the crowd. I think I need a bad boy. Here's what I notice in the 3 seconds between her sentence and my response. Tyler shifts his weight and glances at Brianna. Brianna won't look at me. Alyssa's pupils are dilated, and she's riding some kind of high that has nothing to do with the champagne. And I suddenly understand everything. Perfect, I say, and my voice comes out calmer than I expected. Then I'll stop being nice, starting right now. I pull the engagement ring off my finger. Yeah, I wore one because Alyssa thought it looked good for her Instagram aesthetic. And I set it down on the high-top table beside us with a small, deliberate click. Wedding's off, I announce to the room. Everyone can delete it from their calendars. The silence is real now. Alyssa's face does something interesting. It cycles through confusion, anger, disbelief, and then lands on damage control. Baby, I was joking. No, you weren't. I pick up the ring box from where it's been sitting in my jacket pocket all night. She'd wanted me to carry it, said it was romantic. I set it next to the ring. You were completely serious. And you know what? You're right. I am too nice. I'm so nice that I've been ignoring obvious red flags for months, but I'm done now. I can feel my phone buzzing in my pocket. Probably screenshots already circulating. Good. Let them circulate. You're making a scene, Alyssa hisses, grabbing my wrist. You made the scene, I tell her. I'm just the supporting character who finally read the script. I walk away from my fiancé, my cancelled wedding, and 200 people's camera phones. On my way to the exit, I pass the gift table where Alyssa's arranged all her carefully curated party favors. I pocket the honeymoon confirmation envelope sitting on the welcome table. I paid for that trip after all, and I leave the Grand Riverside Hall without looking back. My truck starts on the third try, needs a new starter. I've been too busy helping Alyssa plan her perfect Instagram wedding to fix it. I'm halfway home to my apartment, not the place I share with Alyssa, but the old studio I've been keeping as a workshop because we need space for my content creation, Daniel. When my phone erupts, texts from her friends, texts from my friends, texts from people I haven't talked to since high school. Everyone wants to know what happened, wants to take sides, wants to be part of the drama. I ignore all of them except one message from Carter, my foreman at the mill. Dude, you okay? Twitter is insane right now. I didn't know I was on Twitter. Then comes a message from a number I don't recognize. If you want the truth about Alyssa, call me. Julia. Julia. Alyssa's sworn enemy since some influencer drama 2 years ago involving a sponsored post and alleged plagiarism. They've been social media antagonists ever since, the kind of petty warfare that involves subtweets and strategic unfollowing. I stare at the message for a solid minute while sitting in my truck outside my building. The engine ticks as it cools. Somewhere above me, a helicopter chops through the night sky. I call the number. That was faster than I expected, Julia says. Her voice is lower than I remember, smoother. We've only met twice, both times accidentally at parties, where she and Alyssa engaged in elaborate ignore-each-other routines. You said you have truth. I have evidence, she corrects. There's a difference. Can you come to my place? This isn't a phone conversation. I should go home. I should process this like a reasonable adult. I should probably drink something stronger than beer and figure out where my life went sideways. Instead, I say, text me your address. Part 2. The enemy of my enemy. Julia's apartment overlooks the old Riverside Mill where I work night shifts. I can see the building from her floor-to-ceiling windows, all that red brick and broken glass lit up by sodium vapor lights. The irony isn't lost on me. Nice view, I say, because I don't know what else to say to my ex-fiancé's enemy in her apartment at 11 at night. I like watching things decay, Julia says. She's different than I remember, sharper somehow, like someone who stopped caring what people think. She's wearing jeans and an oversized sweater, her dark hair pulled back. No performance, no audience. She hands me a tablet. Before you look at this, I need you to understand something. I'm not doing this out of kindness. I'm doing this because Alyssa destroyed my career 2 years ago with lies, and watching her implode brings me genuine happiness. Honesty, refreshing. Look at the screen. It's Instagram, but a private story. Alyssa's private story, the one she shares with only her closest friends. The kind of thing I wasn't invited to see despite being engaged to her. The first image is from 3 months ago. Alyssa kissing Tyler at what looks like a lake house. His hands are in her hair. Her eyes are closed. That's Brianna's boyfriend, I say, stating the obvious because my brain is trying to catch up with what I'm seeing. Keep scrolling. More photos. Alyssa and Tyler at restaurants I've never been to. Alyssa and Tyler in hotel rooms. And then... Wait, I say. The photo shows Alyssa kissing Brianna. Not a friendly peck. A full, romantic, complicated kiss that explains absolutely everything about the weird energy I've been feeling for months. She's been sleeping with her best friend and her best friend's boyfriend, Julia says. Sometimes separately, sometimes together. Your fiancé is quite adventurous. How did you get these? Stephanie sent them to me, Alyssa's friend, the blonde one who records everything. Turns out she's been tired of Alyssa's nonsense for a while now, and she thought I'd appreciate the content. Julia smiles, and it's not a nice smile. The enemy of my enemy is my source. I scroll through more photos, screenshots of text messages, Alyssa bragging to Brianna about keeping Daniel clueless and maintaining the good guy for Instagram while having actual fun. My hands aren't shaking. That's probably bad. I should feel something more than this cold, calculating anger. Why show me this now? I ask. Because you called off the wedding tonight, which means you're finally interesting. Also, I assume you paid for a honeymoon? Coastal cabin in Oregon. 2 weeks. Non-refundable. Julia's smile gets wider. Take me instead. I look up from the tablet. What? Take me on your honeymoon. Post about it. Make it very public. Let Alyssa watch her perfect narrative crumble. She leans back against her kitchen counter. I'm not asking you to sleep with me, Daniel. I'm asking you to help me ruin her the way she ruined me. But with the added bonus of you getting actual revenge instead of just crying into your beer. That's incredibly petty. Yes, it is. Interested? I should say no. I should take the high road. I should be the nice guy everyone thinks I am. But Alyssa wanted a bad boy. When do we leave? I ask. Julia actually laughs. Tomorrow. Pack light and bring your phone charger. We're going to document everything. I'm almost to the door when she stops me. Daniel? One more thing. Be careful around Tyler. He's been texting Brianna about being worried you'll make trouble after tonight. Is that a threat? I don't know. But you work with tools for a living, and he works on his muscle definition. Just be aware. I leave Julia's apartment and take the stairs down to the parking garage. My truck looks sad and beaten under the fluorescent lights, but it's mine, and it's paid off, and it doesn't care about Instagram. I'm halfway to my vehicle when Tyler appears from behind a concrete pillar. We need to talk, he says. He's changed from the party. Now he's wearing a tank top despite the October chill, presumably to remind me that he has arms and knows how to use them. His jaw is tight, his fists are clenched, and he's got the kind of energy that comes from both adrenaline and poor decision-making. I don't think we do, I say, reaching for my keys. He moves to block me. You embarrassed Alyssa tonight. You embarrassed Brianna. You made them both look bad in front of everyone. I stated facts, I say. Alyssa asked for a bad boy. I delivered. You're a punk. He steps closer, using his height advantage. You're a nobody maintenance worker who never deserved someone like Alyssa. You should be grateful she spent 3 years pretending you were worth her time. Here's what people don't understand about being a carpenter and working in mill maintenance. You learn to read structural weaknesses. You learn to see what's holding something up and what's ready to collapse. And you learn that sometimes the thing that looks strongest is actually the most fragile. Tyler's standing wrong, weight too far forward, hands telegraphing his intentions. He's used to people backing down when he puffs up. I'm not people. Move, I say. He shoves me instead. Both hands against my chest, hard enough to make me step back. Or what, tough guy? You gonna cry? Run to your mommy? I don't hit him. That's important to remember. What I do is drop my keys, let him think he's won, and then when he pushes me again, I step to the side and use his momentum against him. He stumbles forward, off balance, and I help him along by grabbing his tank top and guiding him face first into the large metal dumpster sitting against the garage wall. The sound is magnificent. A dull, echoing clang that reverberates through the concrete space. Tyler bounces off the dumpster and lands on his rear, looking stunned. There's a small cut on his forehead, just enough to bleed impressively, but not enough to cause real damage. You're right, I tell him, picking up my keys. I am a nobody maintenance worker, but I know how to read building codes and dodge OSHA violations. And you know what the biggest violation is? Being drunk and aggressive in a parking garage with security cameras. I point to the camera mounted in the corner. Its little red light blinks steadily. Tyler touches his forehead, sees the smear of red on his fingers, and his face cycles through several interesting emotions. "Stay away from Julia," he says, because apparently this is about territory now. "I'll go wherever I want," I tell him. "With whoever I want. And there's nothing you, Alyssa, or Brianna can do about it. Enjoy explaining that cut to your girlfriend." I leave him sitting by the dumpster, and I drive home with my hands perfectly steady on the wheel. My phone starts buzzing again around midnight. I ignore it until I see it's a voice note from Alyssa. Against my better judgment, I listen. "Daniel." Her voice is slurring, probably whine. "Baby, please, I didn't mean it. I was showing off being stupid. You know me. I say things for attention. We can fix this. We can still have the wedding. Just call me back, please. We need to talk about, if you take that witch Julia on my honeymoon, I swear to—" There's a scream in the background. Then the phone cuts off. I stare at it for a full minute. Then I text Julia. "Change of plans. We leave tonight." Part 3. The Honeymoon War. The cabin is exactly what I remembered from the rental photos 2 years ago when I booked it. Weathered cedar siding, moss-covered roof, perched on a cliff overlooking the Oregon coast. The storm rolling in makes it look like something from a Gothic novel, all gray sky and angry water. "This is delightfully ominous," Julia says, climbing out of my truck. "Did you specifically request the horror movie aesthetic?" It was cheap and available. Everything about this situation suggests you're a stalker. You realize that? If I was going to eliminate anyone, I had better opportunities in that parking garage last night. I grab our bags from the truck bed. "Besides, you're the one who suggested coming with me." "Excellent point." She follows me up the gravel path. "Did Tyler text you threatening messages after the dumpster incident?" 17 of them, mostly variations on "you're done" and "watch your back." Very creative. The cabin's interior smells like cedar and old fires. There's a stone fireplace, a kitchenette that's seen better decades, and one bedroom with a queen bed covered in a quilt someone's grandmother probably made. "I'll take the couch," I say. "We're adults, Daniel. We can share a bed without it becoming a thing." Julia drops her bag on the floor. "Though I appreciate the chivalry considering I'm here purely to weaponize myself against your ex." "Still seems wrong." "What's wrong is your fiancé sleeping with 2 people behind your back while planning a wedding. This is just strategically sharing space." She opens her phone. "Speaking of strategy, should I post our first photo now or wait until we've had dinner?" "You're really committing to this?" "Oh, absolutely. This is the most interesting thing I've done in 2 years." She holds up her phone, catching both of us in frame with the stormy window behind us. "Smile like you're having an existential crisis, but handling it well." I don't smile, but she takes the photo anyway and types something quick. "What did you write?" I ask. "Sometimes the best revenge is living well, or in this case, living in the cabin your ex was supposed to take you to." Tagged the location, used several relevant hashtags, and now we wait for the explosion. The explosion takes 17 minutes. My phone starts vibrating like it's possessed. Text after text after text. Most from numbers I don't recognize. Several from Alyssa's friends. 3 from Brianna. Then a video call from Alyssa herself. "Answer it," Julia says. "Put it on speaker." I do. Alyssa's face fills the screen, and she looks like she's been crying, but is currently stuck on fury. "You absolute piece of— Are you serious right now? You took that snake to our cabin?" "My cabin," I correct. "I paid for it. My name on the reservation." "We planned this together." "No, you planned an Instagram opportunity together. I planned a vacation. There's a difference." "I cannot believe—" She's interrupted by someone in the background. The camera swings wildly, and I catch a glimpse of expensive car interior. "We're coming there. Right now, you don't get to just— Who's we?" Julia asks, leaning into frame. Alyssa's eyes narrow. "Stay out of this, Julia. This doesn't concern you." I think being the current occupant of the honeymoon cabin makes it my concern. Julia waves at the camera. Nice to see you again, Alyssa. You look stressed. The call ends abruptly. Well, I say, that was productive. 3 hours, Julia predicts. That's how long it'll take them to drive here from the city. I suggest we eat something and prepare for siege warfare. She's wrong. It takes 2.5 hours, and it's not just Alyssa. The sound of car doors slamming carries clearly across the coastal wind. I'm on the porch with coffee when I see 2 figures approaching through the darkening evening. Alyssa in front, power walking like she's training for aggressive Olympics. Brianna behind her, looking significantly less confident. Daniel! Alyssa shouts from 50 feet away. Get out here! I am out here. You walk to me. She storms up the porch steps, and up close I can see she's been crying for real. Mascara tracks down her cheeks, hair pulled back in a messy knot, wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt that probably costs more than my truck payment. You don't get to do this, she says, voice shaking. You don't get to humiliate me in front of everyone and then just replace me like I meant nothing. I'm not replacing you, I say calmly. I'm utilizing a non-refundable reservation. There's a difference. With her? Alyssa gestures violently toward the cabin. With the one person who's tried to destroy my reputation for 2 years? Your reputation destroyed itself, Julia calls from the doorway. I just documented it. Shut your mouth. Make me, Julia suggests pleasantly, though maybe save your energy for explaining to Brianna why you've been sleeping with Tyler. Brianna, who's been standing quietly at the base of the porch steps, goes very still. What? She asks softly. Oh, this is awkward, Julia continues. She didn't tell you that Daniel knows? Daniel, show her the photos. Don't, Alyssa warns. Don't you dare. I pull out my phone and hand it to Brianna. She takes it with shaking hands and looks at the screen. I watch her face cycle through the same emotions mine probably did in Julia's apartment. Alyssa? Brianna's voice cracks. Are these real? She's manipulating you. Julia sent fake photos. These are from your private story, Brianna says, scrolling. I can see the timestamp. I can see the location tags. You and Tyler? It was exactly like that, I say. She's been sleeping with both of you, sometimes at the same time, while planning a wedding with me and posting about how forever looks so cute. Brianna's whole face crumples. For a second, she's the only person in the world I feel anything soft for. Not pity, not mercy, just a cold, sharp recognition of how messy humans make themselves. She drops my phone back into my hand like it's hot, steps away from Alyssa, and folds into herself so small she could disappear. Alyssa goes white. Not the dramatic white of stage makeup washed out under LED lights, the real kind. The kind that comes when a person realizes the narrative they've been feeding themselves is suddenly being read back to them in a voice that isn't theirs. This is fake, she says. This is manipulated. Photos can be edited. Stories can be staged. You can't. Photos from your private story, I say. Not edited. Not staged. Not unless you were the one staging them for followers between that red dress and your dinner with sponsors. Stop it, she whispers. You're trying to ruin me. You're the one ruining things. Funny thing about ruin, Julia says. Someone else started it. I'm just delivering the invoice. Brianna looks at Alyssa like she's trying to reconcile the woman who used to be her roommate with the woman in the photographs. Why would you do this? She asks Alyssa, voice small, devastated. Why would you keep me in the dark? Alyssa's answer is the one I'd expected. A practiced shrug. A shrug that used to read as cheeky and free-spirited and now reads as spineless. It's complicated, she says. It's not what you think. It is exactly what we think, Brianna says. You've been lying to me for months. And then, because cruelty loves a friend, Brianna brings up something new. And Tyler's been bragging to me about brands, saying we could all get placed if I just played along. He said you were the ticket. He said we should keep him on the side for content. The air changes. I didn't know Tyler had been talking to Brianna about brands. I didn't know any of the alliance structures inside their little orbit. All I know is what I can see. Two people, once close, now trying to figure out if they were co-conspirators or co-victims. You're telling me my fiancé sold me for sponsorships, I say, incredulous. You sold me for hashtags. Brianna looks at Tyler, as if waiting for some kind of explanation that will make this better. Tyler looks at the dirt under his sneakers, as if it's the only honest thing he can find. I'm not defending her, Tyler says finally, voice rough. But she said it was only for exposure. She said nothing would happen. She said... He trails off because the truth is an awkward, unreliable thing. Tyler's jaw tightens in the way of someone who knows men will side with men and women will blame women, and he's been sitting at the table taking bites for all of them. Hold on, Julia says. Tyler, you told Brianna to go along with this for the brand. Then you told Alyssa to keep Daniel happy so the narrative didn't collapse. You were running content like it was a business plan. Tyler's face goes red. So? It's marketing. We're all influencers now, right? It's how things work. You're admitting it, Brianna says, nails digging into the palms of her hands. You used me. You used us. I'm not the manipulative one, Alyssa snaps. You think I wanted to... Cut the performance, Julia says, flat. You wanted both attention and discretion. You wanted to look pure to most of your followers while actually playing the field because you could. You wanted to have the cake and the sponsorships too. Alyssa's mouth opens, but there's no sound that can fix this. She looks like a queen who just discovered the crown was costume jewelry. She looks like a person who thought she was cutting a good deal and instead cut the rope holding the whole damn storyline up. This is where it gets really fun, I say. Because the honeymoon confirmation, that non-refundable cabin, I didn't just take it. I put it on the public schedule, reservation number, full itinerary. I tagged the resort on my stories last night. Anyone who mattered in her little world could see it. And then I uploaded those private photos to a few event planner groups and sent them, personally, to sponsors who booked events through Alyssa's agency. For a second, everyone looks at me like I just lit a match in a fireworks warehouse. You're going to ruin her business, Brianna says, voice small. You can't... I already did, I say. Yesterday, when she was still laughing in the hall. You wouldn't, Alyssa says. She claws for a hold, for leverage. You can't... Oh, I can, I say. I can send them screenshots. I can make them public. But here's the thing. That feels like small change. The part I enjoyed most was the car. Tyler freezes like a dog caught with meat in his mouth. My car? He asks, the words a scrape. You like that car, I say. You call it she. It's a very possessive thing. You shouldn't be so possessive about things you don't actually own. He takes 2 steps forward, fists up. You broke into my car? I didn't need to break in, I say. It was unlocked. One of you left it unlocked in a hurry. It's like you handed me a sledgehammer. I removed the lug nuts on 2 tires last night and left a note under the windshield wiper. Learn to lock things. Tyler's face goes from red to a sick green. He bolts for his phone like a man grasping for an alibi. He dials, then stops, then dials again. You little... He looks at me as if I'm an insult. Don't, Julia says. Just don't. I've got your friends tagged in our posts. There are screenshots in group chats. There's proof. No one will want to associate with a scandal. You're insane, Alyssa says. Maybe, I say, but practical. Tyler shoves past me toward the dirt path to the parking lot. I'm going to call the police. Call them, I say. Tell them I'm an unhinged ex-fiancé here at a cabin on the coast. Tell them I dismantled your car like a suburban vigilante. Tell them everything. But before you do you want to tell everyone why you told Brianna to go along with this? or why you were messaging people about getting Alyssa brand deals if she kept Daniel quiet. He halts like I shot him with a question. For a beat, Tyler looks exactly like the kid he is, suddenly unsure, naked under the glare of accountability. Brianna, whose cheeks are wet now, moves like someone underwater and collapses into the railing, staring at Alyssa the way a child stares at a broken toy. "Who are you even anymore?" she asks Alyssa. "I thought you were my friend." The scream that follows is so human it almost breaks me. It's not a theatrical scream. It's the sound of someone who has just learned their self-image was a contract they signed without reading the fine print. Alyssa lunges, fingers scrabbling. She needs a target, and Brianna is the nearest one who betrayed her, or so Alyssa's mind tells her. Alyssa's hands find Brianna's hair, and the two women collapse into a tangle on the porch, nails, shaking limbs, wild and terrible. "Stop!" Julia shouts. "Stop it, both of you, stop!" I step forward because it's what people do in movies, and because the instinct to pull people away from self-harm is built into us. I don't expect Alyssa to snap at me. She does. Her elbow connects with my jaw, hard enough that my mouth fills with a sharp metallic tang, and that old, childish sense of surprise when something you've trusted suddenly lets you down. She didn't think I'd step in. She didn't think anyone would fight for her when she was the one who'd been fighting to stay above the fray. Pain litters the world for a second. I'm not proud of it. I'm not going to romanticize the way my cheek suddenly stings and my eardrum registers the sound of someone else seeing me bleed. "Don't," I say calmly, wiping at my lip. "This isn't worth it." "You're the worst," Alyssa spits, breathing hard. "You wanted a bad boy," I say. "Here I am." She rolls off Brianna, hair matted, mascara making tracks down her face like little dark rivers. Brianna's sobs blast into the night in gasps. "Why are you doing this?" Alyssa manages. "Because you were doing this to me for free," I say. "You were doing it to other people for content. You wanted to be dangerous and get away with it. You wanted no consequences. Funny thing, Alyssa, the world is very good at inventing consequences when you stop playing by the rules." She looks at me as if I just recited a foreign language. "You don't get to moralize about me. You were part of the plan. You were engaged to me. You let me do what I want." "I did," I say, "and I funneled 80% of my overtime into the apartment you moved into and left me for. I put my name on the lease and paid the utilities while you curated content. I laughed at your jokes in front of your sponsors. I bought dresses you didn't need, and I fixed your stupid heirloom chaise lounge twice because you wanted it for photos." "What do you want?" she asks. "Money? An apology? To get back together?" "I want you to feel the same fear and the same loss you dished out without batting an eyelash. I want the people who hired you to know who you are. I want to be the guy who shows up and says, 'I told you she was like this.'" She laughs, a wet, broken sound. "You'll never do it. You don't have the reach. You don't have the followers. You can't win against me." "You're right," I say. "I don't have the followers. I have something better, receipts and common sense." I pull out my phone and, for the first time since this all started, let my fingers do something mean and precise. I open my email, forward the private story screenshots, the messages, the timestamps, the DMs, the photos, everything Julia gave me, everything Brianna confirmed, everything Tyler tried to spin away, and I send them to 3 addresses: Alyssa's event clients, 2 PR firms that worked with her, and 1 influencer aggregator who was known for cross-posting scandals. I write a small note. No flourish, no explanation. Just the truth. Attached, evidence that your event planner is operating in bad faith. Use at your discretion. I hit send. "You're going to destroy her," Brianna whispers. Then she looks at me like someone who'd just watched a physicist set a controlled demolition. "I'm not so sure it'll be destructive for everyone," I say. "Some things need to fall for people to notice the foundation was rotten. The trick is to make it public enough that there's no corporate hand-waving and no sponsorship PR to salvage the illusion." Alyssa scrubs her face with her fingers. You can't. You can't ruin me. You won't. People will side with me. They'll say you attacked me. Then let them say it. I step back. If they want a villain, they can have me. For me, it's simpler. You wanted danger. I gave you a measure of danger you didn't expect. You wanted to feel untouchable. You're not. At that moment, headlights blaze across the parking lot. The sound of tires crunching on gravel sends a new animal alert through the group. Tyler's face goes pale because he recognizes the angle of a car coming in fast, not the cautious cruise of someone arriving modestly, but the determined rush of someone who thinks they need to make a point. Tyler's car pulls up. He jumps out, sleeves rolled, hands empty. He looks at the scene and for the first time in his life finds himself in a theater with no script. His mouth opens. What on earth happened here? Everything, Alyssa says, the word choking. Tyler's voice is small. Call the police, he says again, as if repeating it will make it true. Call them, I say. After you lock your car, the 2 tires will be flat. Remember the note I left. He bolts to the parking lot. The crunch of gravel is loud. People move away, like heat dispersing from an open flame. Outside, Tyler gets to his car and swears in a way that confirms he has no plan. 2 tires are on the rims, the lug nuts missing and artfully lined up on the asphalt like some pathetic offering. Under the windshield wiper, a post-it says, "Maybe buy a lock." Tyler starts shouting. He curses me, every curse I've heard in locker rooms, in bar fights, in the quiet of middle-of-the-night radio call-ins. He seems bewildered that the world isn't obeying his entitlement. "You're going to pay for this," he screams. "Yeah?" I say. "Call Alyssa's sponsors and tell them you're sorry. Call the clients and say, there was a misunderstanding. Then explain why you were messaging people about brands and keeping Daniel happy. The truth is good therapy." Tyler stalks toward me like a bull. At the last second, he lunges, a sloppy grab for a temper control that is not there. I catch his wrist with a single hand. I twist, not to break it, but to let him know I could. He howls and drops to his knees, not because I hurt him badly, but because of the sudden and sharp arithmetic of losing face. "Enough," Julia says. "Really enough." People have started to gather. A couple walking dogs pauses, 3 teenagers filming with their phones, the sea in the background like some judge with no patience left. I've become the guy from the parking lot story. The title suits me oddly well. "This isn't the end," Alyssa says, voice small now, the performance gone from it. "You will regret this." "Maybe," I say. "But I don't think you'll have time to regret very long." Julia leans in. "One more favor," she says. "While we're waiting for the internet to do its thing, there's something Tyler and Brianna did that's going to savor the moment. Remember that DM on Tyler's phone? The one where he and Brianna coordinate a content drop to spin everything in a week? Tyler, give me your phone." Tyler looks like a deer about to get bagged. For a terrifying second, he considers fighting for it. He hands it over. Julia fingers through it quick and then, like a stage magician producing a rabbit, projects it onto our little gathering by holding the phone up to her laptop camera. On the screen, a string of messages between Tyler and Brianna planning the whole thing, including a line that reads, "Dump her after the tour. She'll still have engagement ring clout to sell." Another reads, "We get a month of peak engagement and then we bail. She keeps the fallout and we keep our brands." Brianna's face crumples in a way that finally looks honest. She starts to cry, real and not for effect, and flings herself away from Tyler as if he's hot and painful. He flails, a man realizing he has no allies in the room. "Alyssa," Brianna whispers, shaking. "I'm sorry. Sorry." The word tastes like ash. Alyssa's scream this time is not the wheedling scream of a woman demanding narrative control. It's the guttural sound of someone who has been made small. People's phones are out now. The teenagers that were filming have texts going lightning fast. 2 of Alyssa's friends from the city, people I'd never met, show up moments later with cameras and microphones because Julia, who once had enemies in the right corners, knows people who like to collect scandals like baseball cards. The internet is a hungry thing. It's also efficient. This is far beyond me, I tell the group. I did my piece. I took what was mine back. I exposed what was true. If the rest burns down, that's on people who thought they could build a life on other people's gullibility. Tyler gets up, staggering. He looks around like he's been dropped into a swamp without a rope. I didn't know it would go this far, he stammers. I didn't. You're right, Julia says quietly. You didn't. Because you thought you were in control. The joke's on you. Alyssa is on her knees, hands clawing the porch boards. For a moment, she seems to look at me not as an enemy, but as an instrument of some terrible fairness that has come to collect its bill. Do it then, she says with those raw eyes. Finish it. I look at the three of them, at the mess of friend groups and social currency and small cruelties and the million tiny dishonesties that created this combustion. I can think of a dozen ways to wound them that would require patience and legal consulting and press contacts. The adult ways. But there is one thing left that feels clean and immediate and exactly on tone with the night. There is a sledgehammer in the shed behind the cabin. I know where the shed key is because I booked and paid for the place, and the owner sent me the thoughtful, "Here's where everything is" text when I reserved it. Tools are where I feel most at home. Hammers are confession devices for the built world. They speak loudly, they are blunt but honest, and they do what they are supposed to do. I walk to the shed. Where are you going? Alyssa says. To get something to help you accept what happens next, I say. I come back with the hammer slung over my shoulder like an exclamation point. People gasp in the way people gasp for oncoming weather. Tyler squares up like he expects me to swing it at him. I don't. Not yet. I walk to Tyler's car, the one with deflated tires and the lug nuts politely arranged in a line on the asphalt. I swing once. The sledgehammer connects with the windshield in a clean, decisive arc. Glass shatters in a crystalline avalanche. The sound is a gunshot in the salt air. Tyler staggers back as if I'd punched him. He looks at the ruined windshield like someone watching themselves lose an argument with an object. That was for the way you treat people like props, I say. For emphasis, I raise the sledgehammer again and bring it down hard on the hood. It dents with the satisfying, ugly bloom of something permanently altered. I feel the little electric thrill that comes from doing something irrevocable. It's not heroic. It's not noble. It's a property claim made in a language they understand. Brianna starts to cry, but it's different now. Part sorrow, part relief. Alyssa is crumpled, face in her hands, making sounds that don't belong in any curated clip. Tyler drops to his knees and shields his face from the film of glass that flakes like snow across the asphalt. Somewhere in the background, my phone chirps. A text from Carter. Local news just reposted Julia's thread, going viral. You good? I look up. The cluster of onlookers has tripled. The county sheriff's truck is a tiny strobe of lights in the distance, someone having called. The kids with phones are narrating like it's a live stream. People in the county who used to think influencers were mystical have come out to see the fall. The storm has rolled in heavier, and the sound of the waves is a low fret at the edge of everything. I drop the hammer on the hood like a period. That's it, I say. That's everything. Alyssa looks up at me, and in her eyes there's terror and the dawning understanding that narratives can end. The person she thought she could use has finally decided to be dangerous in the only way she could understand, public, visible, and uncompromising. Tyler starts to sob like a kicked dog. Brianna reaches for him and then stops, like a woman who suddenly doesn't want to be the person who picks the pieces up. Call the police, I tell whoever is still using their phone for more than video. Tell them what happened. Tell them the truth. Tell the story. Make it the whole thing. The sirens are closer now, a rubber band of sound snapping taut. Alyssa gets to her feet in a weird, stunned, mechanical movement, looks at the shattered windshield, at the dented hood, at the pool of people, at the screen of her life as it cracks, and finally at me. "You're a monster," she says, voice small and precise. "No," I say. "I'm a man who finally stopped being the punchline." People are shouting, cameras are clicking, Julia is calmly filming, Brianna is half-hugging Tyler even though he deserves not a single comfort from any of them. The sheriff's truck pulls up. 2 deputies step out, eyes scanning for trouble and already working to parse truth from spectacle. I step back into the dark and the rain, the ocean's wind lashing at my collar. Feet crunch on gravel behind me. I feel the tremor of adrenaline and exhaustion shiver through my bones. I don't look back when the deputies start asking questions. I don't wait to see if justice arrives in the shape of paperwork or if the internet crucifixion is mercifully decisive. I walk away with the hammer slung over my shoulder, leaving them with the evidence, the photos, the shattered glass, and the reputation that will now have to account for everything it cost someone else. The last thing I hear before the crowd swallows the night is Alyssa's voice, a single raw syllable of fury or regret. I can't tell which. "Daniel." I keep walking. The ocean screams and the neon of a distant news truck frames the horizon like a promise. I have been nice for too long. Tonight, I chose otherwise.